Hello and welcome back to the Inner Glow podcast. I'm Nicole Velis, and this is a podcast where we learn how to grow from the inside out. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you could go to the Spotify too. But if you're watching this on Spotify, then you can actually now look at the podcast like on YouTube. So yeah, this is the first episode where I'm doing that. Before we begin, get a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's begin. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about why it is so important to pay attention to your words, because your words really do have a huge effect on how you talk to other people. And not just that, but like how you talk to yourself. It can really like build or break the relationship you have with anyone in your life. And it's so important because you could change someone's life by using good words, but you could also destroy it at the same time. And so paying attention to the words that you use on a daily basis will transform all of your relationships, and it will help you out a lot. So if you want to, let's say feel better about yourself, you can use the language for that, and you can use words to help you out and to make you grow. So in this episode, I'll just teach you guys how we can use words to transform our lives and to make it better. I want to start by just showing you guys how meaningful words really are and how important they are to just society and to humanity. I mean, if it weren't for words, we wouldn't be able to send a message from one person to another one. So without words, we wouldn't be able to have an idea in our head and then share it to someone else. So it really is important, and it really so special. Yet, I mean, obviously we forget because it's just an everyday thing, but it's really much more than that. And also, a word to one person may mean something, while to another person, they might see it differently because of their past experiences or because of their past, And so when you say something, to one person it may mean one thing, or to another one it may mean another thing. So that's why you just have to be careful with what you choose to say. So to one person, a word may be one certain thing, but to another one it could mean something completely different. So, for example, you've probably watched this movie Mean Girls. So when I say Mean Girls, it's not just a word. It's more than that. You can picture a whole movie in your mind. So the same thing is with words. When you say something to some person, it triggers a whole movie in their mind, and they start thinking it as like this whole story when it really was just a word. So that's why I think people just get so caught up in what people say, because they think of it differently than what to the original word was. So if we can clear that up, and if we can start to, choose our own meaning to words, then we can really change our life. So choosing your words is very important, and choosing them wisely. Now I want to talk about the self-talk and mental aspects about what you say. I feel like when you talk to somebody else, you're a little like more hesitant with what you say, but when you say things to yourself, you don't really care that much. But we don't notice how much our own life can be affected by the words that we use to describe ourselves, or the words that we use to talk to ourselves. So like your thoughts, obviously, even though like it feels like we don't have control over them, we do. So if we start talking to ourselves in a kind way and speak kindly to ourselves, then we can change our life, and we can feel more confident about ourselves. There was a study done by, I think it was Andrew Newberg, and he basically got a group of people and he got them to say words like no and hate. And after they said those words, you immediately realize that their cortisol levels went up. And if you don't know what that is, it's like a negative hormone. And so here we can see that like obviously the words that you say really do impact your emotions. So if you talk to yourself very rudely, when you speak rudely to yourself, you make yourself suffer, and you make yourself feel bad. Like not just like the emotions, but you also make your motivation go down, you make your self-esteem go down, and everything drops. So choosing our words carefully to talk to ourselves in a positive way is so important. If we can add more positive words into our life, then we will create a positive life for ourselves. And our language really does influence our mindset. So the language that you have, it changes the way you see life, if you know what I mean. Like if you see life in a positive way, like if you're happy about life and you point out everything that you love about something, then you're gonna keep seeing things that you love. A few tips to start talking to yourself in a more positive way, in a more loving way, is to, number one, watch your thoughts. When you consciously watch your thoughts and you know what's going on in your mind, then you know what's good to like what's bad. You can see clearly that you're not talking to yourself in a good way. And when you spot that, then you can choose to change your thoughts. For example, if you have a thought that says that you're a failure, then you can change it to something different. You can choose to see the opposite. Even if like it doesn't sound true, instead of saying you're a failure, say that you're amazing and you're doing things beautifully. So what I like to do is like, I hear one negative thought and then immediately I switch it for another one, for the opposite, for a better version of it. And you can start to do that so that you can feel better about yourself. It changes your mindset and it really changes the way you view life and the way you view yourself, which is so important. So another tip is to start doing affirmations, which is basically when you like repeat positive phrases to yourself. Like, I'm so pretty, I'm so beautiful, I'm doing everything right. Like those type of things. I think everyone should start to really focus on the way that they talk to themselves and realize that if it's hurting you, then you shouldn't be wasting time doing that. If you wouldn't talk to a friend that way, then why would you talk to yourself that way? Like, I often find myself talking really mean things to myself, but I know that that's wrong, and I know that I should talk to myself in a more kind way. Because if you love yourself and you want the best for yourself, then you're gonna want to feel your best, and you can feel your best if you stop judging yourself. You know, like, I wouldn't tell a friend that she looks ugly, or I wouldn't tell a friend that they look horrible or that they're doing terrible. You know, I would want the best for them. So start to act the same way you would act with your friends to yourself. Okay, so now the favorite part of my episode today, and that's how we speak to other people and how we speak in our friendships or relationships. So the first thing that I want to say is that your part of the relationship is what matters most. And even if somebody treats you in a bad way, then I think that you don't have to treat that person the same way. You can choose to be kind to others even in bad situations. Like, obviously you're not gonna like let anybody treat you in a bad way, but you don't have to like disrespect them, or you don't have to completely like insult them. Something I wanted to mention really quick was that you can use words to your own will. You can change the way you view words, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is that if you want to feel more motivated, or if you want to get more stuff done, let's say you have big dreams, you have big goals, then you can use words that encourage you to do something. For example, instead of saying, I'm going to try to go to the gym, you can say, I will go to the gym and I will get this done. And it just reminds yourself that you're capable of getting something done. So it'll make you feel more motivated to actually do that thing that you've been maybe procrastinating or avoiding. I am going to encourage you guys this week to use empowering language so that you can get the things that you want done, and so that you can work on your goals. And at the end, you'll see how it actually did work, and how using positive like reinforcement will make you more motivated to get more done. So I've talked about how we can talk to other people in a more meaningful way. I kind of want to just say that the way we talk about other people says a lot about you. I mean, if you can't hold 5 minutes of a conversation without talking about someone else or how bad someone else did something, then it says a lot about you and who you are. Because it says that you care more about somebody else's failures or something than you care about the people that you're with. And if you're constantly like the type of person to point out something that is going wrong in your life, or just like you're constantly complaining, then it also says a lot about you, how much of an ignorant person you are and how careless you are. Because you could use that time to talk about something more meaningful with someone else. Instead of like talking bad about people or about situations, you can use conversations to feel better about life and to feel just like better in general. So toxic versus empowering language. You know when something is toxic when it leaves you feeling hurt or leaves you feeling bad. So words like I can't, or I'm just not good enough, or I could never do something, they hurt you and they bring you further back instead of bring you forward in life. So if you're trying to, I don't know, feel better about yourself, you have to like start cutting out toxic words and toxic phrases. And I do have a few tips on how we can start doing that to bring more positive language into our life. So number one is to pay attention to your thoughts and to the words that you talk to yourself with. So if you can start spotting when you say something rude to yourself, then you have the ability to change it once you are clear and you know that you've done it already. Number two is to avoid saying always or never, because that like kind of sets the tone for the rest of your life. If you say like I never get things right or I always get things wrong, then you're never gonna feel like you can really change that about yourself. And so it's just very toxic to use that with yourself. Tip number 3 is to start using yet. It's such a life changer to use the word yet. Like, sure, I'm not there yet, or I can't do that yet. So it implies that like someday I'll be able to do it. Maybe not right now, but I know that one day I'm gonna be able to do something. I don't have to be so hard on myself because I know that someday I'll be able to do this, and it's okay if I don't know how to do it right now. And number 4 is to use positive affirmations. Like I said before, it's basically like repeating positive phrases about yourself. The best way to do it is by looking in a mirror and repeating the things that you love about yourself, or repeating like positive phrases that make you feel good. And it really helps with how you think of yourself. So I really, really highly recommend to use positive affirmations daily. And number 5 is to speak kindly to yourself. This could just mean like letting yourself not have it all done or not having everything perfect and being okay with it. Just, being compassionate to yourself. Just like treating yourself as you would treat a friend. Instead of constantly judging yourself, try to start loving yourself and loving even like the things that you may think are weird or you may think that are just wrong about yourself. Number 6 is to start challenging the beliefs that you have about yourself. Many times it's not true what you say to yourself. If you start to challenge what you think about yourself and like look at it from another perspective, you can find ways to break that belief. Like ask yourself why you believe something, why you believe that something is wrong with you, and ways to break out of that habit of thinking that you're, a failure or whatever it is, like thinking that you're a certain way. And I also recommend being around positive people, because obviously when you're around negative people, you're going to start to think and act like them. And if they're constantly talking about things that you don't like, or they're just talking about things that have nothing to do with what you like or have nothing to do with the person that you want to be, it's just going to make you go back in life, and it's not gonna help you. It's like, okay, guys, so the next one is to be more grateful for what you have and focus on the things that you do have and what is going right, instead of always like focusing on what's wrong and what there is to change and what's not going right and what you hate or whatever, because it just brings you into another perspective of appreciating the things that you do have and noticing how lucky you are and how privileged you are to get to experience certain things while other people may not have the opportunity. Yeah, so I think that those are all my tips on how we can change the way that we communicate and use our words for the better, really. So I think that it just takes practice. It takes a lot of practice to be able to speak to ourselves and to other people in a better way. So I think that all these things are really just more about practice, because obviously it feels so weird when you just start out and talking to people maybe kinder than you usually do. I think that it's so important to just practice all that you can to change the way you communicate with yourself and others. So make it like a challenge. Challenge yourself to use your words for the good, and to use other words to spread love to people and to make them feel validated and make them feel special. And start talking to yourself in a more positive way, in a kinder way, to really anyone. Stop judging people. And that's really all I want to say. So I really hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a rating if you're on Spotify, and if you're on YouTube, then leave a comment, like, subscribe. It'll really help me out, and I would really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Yeah, and I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.